Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another manga review. Today we're looking at Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. We're going to be looking at the first arc, which you could call the introduction arc, or I think it's actually called the Beyond Journey's End arc, which is basically the premise or the concept behind this whole series before it kind of changes it to its own thing, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about the book facts, and then I'll get into the premise. So the author here is Kanehito Yamada, and the artist is Tsukasa Abe. And I think that this team works phenomenally together. They're amazing. I don't know if this is their first manga together, or if this is something they've worked on, or if they've worked on together before. I'm not really sure. If anyone does know, let me know down in the comments. The publisher here is Viz. This is a Shogakukan title, so it's under the Shonen Sunday. You can read it on the Viz app, but it won't be on the Shonen Jump app. Those are two different things. The list for those books, or the list of books available on those platforms is different. I think you can look at what volumes and what manga is available on the other app, but you can't actually read it through the app. But for $5, you can get both of the apps, or get subscriptions for both of them, $5 a month. And it's phenomenal. You have a great reading experience on your phone, particularly, or on your iPad. It's not that good on the website, but it's not horrible. And so the Shogakukan stuff is just on the Viz app. The Shonen Jump one has all of the Shueisha stuff, right? Maybe not exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. The demographic here is shonen, and the genre here is fantasy, slice of life, and I guess there is a certain element of like coming of age for one of the characters, or for most of the characters actually, because even Frieren, even though she's ancient as hell, she has this kind of like realization about her life, right? And I guess otherwise it's just a basic adventure story. So adaptations wise, it does have an anime, and it's beautiful. That's how I got into the series. I think it's great. I don't necessarily think I would recommend one over the other, but I do like the anime a bit more, just because I was introduced to it first, and just because I think that the anime did an amazing job. The one thing I dislike about the anime, since it's only available on Crunchyroll, is that when they have title cards and stuff, those don't get translated properly. They don't, like, Crunchyroll is just bad at translation, editing, and like adding in subtitles everywhere they're supposed to be. And so early on in the process, you get all of the translation for all of the cards, and then later on in the anime, you don't get them. So I think that in that sense, it's a better reading experience than it is a watching one, because you know exactly where you're located. At the same time, it's not super meaningful or important to know because the characters mention it anyways, but you get more information out of the book. So I recommend the manga first, although the anime is very well done. Ratings-wise, it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, I love this series already. It was just nice to come back to it and enjoy it in the original format. Okay, and so the premise here is not that difficult, but it's kind of hard to explain easily. So let me see if I can synthesize this for you guys. So Frieren is an elf. She is immensely long-lived. At this point, she's lived over 1,000 years, and she was a bit of a recluse. She just lived in the forest. One day, she is grabbed by a young man whose name is Himmel, and he convinces her to go with him and join his adventuring party as they set out to destroy the Demon King. We see that they succeed. The team splits up, and then 10 years have passed since that situation, right? The journey took them 10 years, and then I think actually we get like a 50-year time skip after that. And Frieren comes back to see her old adventuring partners and realizes that they're old and decrepit, and that time has flown by, and somehow she didn't know anything about them. And especially this is the guiding focus of Frieren's journey. Now that the journey has ended, now that a new generation has come, will she go on another adventure with new people that are, kind of representative of their old friends, in order to see if she can find a connection with humanity again, right? It's a very interesting, kind of melancholic story, and I think it's handled amazingly. It's really introspective and interesting, right? There's a certain level of nostalgia that you feel just by the existence of the story and stuff like that. And then there's also melancholy and sadness and the bitterness or the bittersweetness of like lost opportunity, and within that lost opportunity also finding value. And I just really love it. I think it's a very deep kind of series. It has a lot of wonderful deep themes if you choose to look into them, right? So that's the premise of Frieren overall. The premise of this arc is just to, introduce us to the characters, switch out the old team for the new team. That's basically all it is to it, right? So let's move on to the plot line here. The original quest ends. We get to see the characters succeed, go home to celebrate, and then disband. 50 years happen in the blink of an eye for Frieren, since to her it's like a few days basically. And the team meets up for a final meetup. They go to see these meteors, this meteor shower that happens once every 50 years. They saw it when they celebrated, and they saw it now. And it turns out that the leader, Himmel, the hero, was basically just waiting for this moment to happen so that he could die peacefully afterwards. And so Frieren realizes, after Himmel has died and she's at his funeral, that her journey with these characters, that to her was a blink of an eye, is actually the most important blink of an eye she's ever had in her life. And it changes her in some ways. And she hadn't realized it until Himmel passed away. And so now, Frieren decides to go on an adventure. And 20 years pass again after this. Frieren visits the other remaining members of her team, Hyder the priest. And when she is with him, she realizes that he has taken on a young girl as his ward. He lives out in the middle of nowhere, just kind of biding his time till his death. And he is trying his best to make sure that this young girl is set for life. And since this young girl is someone that is interested in magic, he thinks that Frieren is the right person to take care of her after he passes away. And so he convinces Frieren to stay by getting her to study a grimoire to help him gain immortality, because in his old age, he wants to live forever. And this is all just a ploy to get her to stay with him for like 6 years and to occasionally train Fern, the little girl that he takes care of, so that she can grow to like Fern, teach her enough to make her a valuable member of her adventuring party, and then take her on as her apprentice. And so Hyder manages to do this to Frieren. She falls for it, and then immediately realizes that, it's not a bad idea. Fern is a great character, a great person. She's very capable as a magician, and maybe it is time to pass on her master's wisdom to the next generation, 1,000 years later. So she takes on Fern as her apprentice, and they become this funny little adventuring team of these two women that just travel from town to town, just retracing Frieren's old journey with her friends, the heroes, right? So they go do a bunch of little weird things. So they go find an extinct plant to put at Himmel the hero's statue. Then they go see a special festival after they clean a beach for the people of this town. Then they learn defensive magic. They kill a demon general, which is actually kind of the most exciting part in this part of the story, because it's a big world building moment, and it also shows us the depth of Frieren's ability with magic, and it sets up the fact that Fern is a very powerful mage herself. So this is kind of like the first moment of adulthood for Fern, and Fern is the character that goes through this journey of growing up, of discovery, of becoming an adult, right? She is the character through which we see this element or this genre or theme of coming of age, right? And then they go visit Eisen, who is the last member of Frieren's party, and the reason he's still alive is because he's a dwarf. So he is also a long-lived race, although he is not as long-lived as Frieren. He's about 300 years old at this point, and he's getting up there in age. He's getting old, and he tells her about the young man that he took on as an apprentice and how they had a falling out, and that he wishes that Frieren will take him on with her on his journey. And while she's hanging out with him, they go into a forest and they find a giant tree that happens to contain Flama's workshop. And Flama is the greatest wizard to ever live. She is the human wizard that gave humanity their magic. And she also happens to be Frieren's master. And this is a very meaningful relationship. Frieren, as a modern person, was inspired by Flama. And then Frieren, as a more modern person, was inspired by Himmel into who she is now. And so these two human characters that were drops in the bucket of her life are the singular most important people to her, right? And at Flama's home, they find their destination. They want to go to Ariol, which is the land of heaven where all of the spirits go. And it is beyond the end. It is beyond where the Demon Lord lived. It is the northernmost region of the world, right? It's basically the Arctic, right? And in order to get there, they have to retrace their steps through their whole journey. And they need a strong warrior, a powerful mage, and maybe a wizard or a priest as well, right? And so they're going off to go find Stark, and then they manage to acquire a warrior out of him after they help him realize that he is a strong character and help him take down a dragon. And so they grab him and they go to a border town, and then from there they move on to the next region, to the next part of their journey. And I really, really like it. I love how calming and soothing the story is. It really just works for me on so many levels. I really, really love it. So characters wise, we have Frieren, who is a 1,000-year-old elf, and she's really cute. I actually really like her a lot. We have Himmel, the hero, who was a bit narcissistic, but also a great person. He was a wonderful man who did everything in his power to make sure that people were happy. He did things that other heroes would not, because he knew that it wasn't just about destroying the Demon King. It was about helping people become better, and it was about leaving his mark on history by helping the individuals, not just destroying the big bad, right? We have Heiter, the priest, who was a bit of a drunk. He was a bit of a lout. He was basically everything you don't think a priest should be, but he was also very, staunch in his belief in the goddess, which is their magical version of God, right? And then we have Eisen, the warrior, who was a bit of a coward, and he would shake before every battle. And yet he was also the most important, warrior of his generation. He was the guy that would always get up after he got knocked down, right? And he teaches this to Stark. He says, the best way to win a battle is to always be the one that gets up. And I think that's awesome. I really, really like this. We also learn about Flama, who is Frieren's master. And of course, Flama is flame and Frieren is ice. So it's fire and ice, right? That is their relationship. That is what defines who they are as characters. But also it is kind of a weird dichotomy, because even though they are fire and ice, they always manage to come together, right? We have Fern, who is the wizard girl, and we have Stark, who is the warrior character. And then we have a few different kind of other characters that get introduced, but the only one that really matters is Qual, who is a demon general. He was one of the people that created offensive magic, and he created this spell called Soul Truck. And Soul Truck was really important 70 years ago when they were fighting against the Demon Lord. But at this point, it is just basic offensive magic. It is not a killing spell anymore. It is just a simple attack, just because of how fast humanity advances itself and advances magic and stuff like that, right? This is the demon general that they kill very easily and very well, especially as a training tool for Fern. So character-wise, very great work. I really like all of this stuff. World-building-wise, we learned that there's demon lords. We know that there's elves and dwarves. This is a very Tolkien-esque kind of world. But I feel like the Tolkien world, from my understanding of it, is a lot more full of violence and battle. And the way that the characters in Frieren kind of interact with it, it seems like the world here is a much more calm place, at least down in the south where they are. As the further you get north, the worse it might get, right? And we have Soul Truck, the Killing Curse, which is basically Avada Kedavra from Harry Potter. But for whatever reason, the human development of this of these humans in this world has made it obsolete, because they basically have greater defensive magic than Soul Truck offers as offensive magic. So it's very easy to counter. We have End, which is the end of the continent, and then above that we have Areola, which is heaven. And so this is kind of like almost like a Midgard kind of thing, right? Or like the Nine Realms from Norse mythology, right? Where Midgard is in the middle, and then Hell is at the bottom, and then heaven is at the very top. But whatever reason, it's inverted, so you go up and learn about the concept of Ariel after being the end, right? So the journey is up to the end, and then what's beyond that. So there's a bit of a meta kind of vibe to it that I really like. So it's very, very cool. Art-wise and fan service wise, it's amazing. The artwork is phenomenal. There is no fan service, so this is not a story that you can really complain about having obsessive or unnecessary fan service. It's very clean. There is an occasional kind of joke that's a little bit perverted or a little bit, raunchy, but it's very, very minimal. And I think none of that happens in this arc. So it's a very family friendly kind of story. Although I don't think children would really appreciate this. I think you have to be at least like an older teenager to really get it, if that makes sense. Ratings wise, 5 out of 5. Like I said, it's just so good and enjoyable and phenomenal and beautiful. It really is a beautiful story. So yeah, that's my review for Frieren Beyond Journey's End Arc 1. I'll do reviews for the next 5 arcs as well. Or I think it's less than that. I think it's only 4 arcs in the first 60 chapters. And I will cover those in the coming weeks as I get through all of the stuff that I have backlogged from December, right? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about Frieren down below. Have you read this arc? Have you seen the anime? Let me know in the comments what did you think. And thank you guys so much for watching once again. And see you guys later.